Create a gripping hook for this story to instantly grab the viewer's attention. The hook should be 3 to 4 sentences long. Find the most intriguing, dramatic, or unexpected moment in the plot, the one that sparks intense emotion and pulls the viewer in. It should be the kind of moment that makes people go, "Wait, what the hell happened next?" Use vivid descriptions to convey the atmosphere of that moment: fear, surprise, sorrow, awe, or tension. Make sure the viewer feels like they're right there in the scene, like it's unfolding in front of their eyes. The hook must be no longer than 50 words. Always end the hook with a sense of mystery. Hint at what comes next, but don't give it away. Leave the audience with a burning need to know more. Wrap up with a suspenseful line like, "But what happened next will shock even those who thought they'd seen everything." But first, let's go back to the beginning. I didn't sleep that first night. I lay still in the dark, watching the ceiling, listening to the hollow echo of my own breath. The bed next to me was warm, but not from love, from the residue of deception. Lauren slept soundly, as if the whispers I'd heard were part of a dream she'd already moved on from. I turned toward the window and waited for the dawn like a soldier waits for orders. My mind raced in precise, silent formations, questions, calculations, flashbacks. I thought of our first home, a rented 2-bedroom outside of Dayton. She used to bring me coffee in bed before my morning runs. I'd leave her notes on the fridge, goofy little things with hearts and arrows. I remembered the miscarriage, the way she curled up against me and shook like a leaf. I held her then like I was her anchor. For years, I believed we'd weathered every storm that could touch us. But this wasn't a storm. It was rot. And it had been spreading quietly, eating through the foundation while I busied myself with routines and responsibilities. I moved with care the next few days, like a man disarming a minefield. I went to work. I cooked dinner. I smiled when she spoke, but inside I was mapping every detail. I started checking mileage on her car against where she said she'd been. I tracked timestamps on receipts from her favorite wine bar, matched them with her calendar. Everything lined up, but only in the way a lie is meant to. Too neat. Too rehearsed. Her phone stayed locked, but the cloud wasn't. She hadn't thought to disable the backup sync. I saw photos. Hotel rooms with throw pillows that didn't belong to our home. A hand on her knee. Not mine. A bottle of champagne with 2 glasses. I printed everything and placed it in a folder labeled legal. No emotion. Just facts. The Army taught me to respect truth, even when it hurt. When I asked her, quietly, over coffee, her favorite French roast, she didn't flinch. She didn't sob or apologize. She just nodded, as if signing off on a shipment. "I want a divorce," she said again, and this time I heard the click of the final lock sliding into place. I finished my coffee, nodded, and stood. "Okay," I said. "Because you don't beg someone who's already gone. You let them walk, and then you prepare." I didn't cry when I moved out. I packed my life into 3 boxes, a duffel bag, and a worn leather binder filled with the kind of documents no one thinks to keep until they matter. Deeds, statements, printouts, evidence, not of love, but of patterns, inconsistencies, timelines. The truth, organized in silence. The apartment was modest. 1 bedroom, 2nd floor, view of the parking lot and a diner that closed at 10. But it had a deadbolt, clean walls, and most importantly, no ghosts. The silence there wasn't cold, it was controlled. And in that stillness, I rebuilt something Lauren never bothered to understand. My discipline. She believed she'd moved on, that I was just another discarded man who'd fade into quiet bitterness. What she didn't understand is that I didn't do grief the way she expected. I didn't drink. I didn't rant on social media. I didn't beg her to come back. Instead, I mapped. Dates. Names. Receipts. social profiles, patterns of behavior, who commented on what, who liked which post, who she started following 3 months before she left. Dean Harper, her new prize, didn't even try to cover his tracks. His ego was a mile wide and half an inch deep. A salesman in love with his own reflection. I watched the performance from a distance. Their filtered life, captured in smiling selfies and wine glass boomerangs, was nothing but a highlight reel stitched together with cheap glue. I studied it like a war map, because that's what it was. When the wedding announcement surfaced, I wasn't surprised. A lakeside venue outside of Cincinnati, all soft lighting and mason jars and carefully curated hashtags. Rustic romance. She wanted the world to believe she had traded up, that her betrayal had led her to some higher, more poetic happiness. That's why I got an invitation. It wasn't kindness. It was theater. She wanted me to see the curtain call. I didn't respond. No need to play the part she wrote for me. Instead, I commissioned a custom oak box, real wood, heavy, something that would demand to be opened. Inside, a silver USB drive, engraved L&D. Romantic at first glance, until the note. Just one sentence. Every lie has a receipt. Congratulations. Because some messages don't need to be shouted. They just need to be delivered. I wasn't there to witness it. I didn't need to be. The moment had already been designed, like a pressure-activated device left beneath the floorboards of a glass house. All I had to do was wait for them to step in the wrong place. The rehearsal dinner was held at some curated estate in rural Ohio, with fairy lights strung from trees and a string quartet playing reworked pop songs. Perfect on the surface, like everything Lauren had come to value. Appearance over integrity. Her parents were there, dressed for celebration. Dean's mother, a woman who once smugly told Lauren that real men take what they want, smiled wide for photos. They all gathered around the table to toast the union of what they believed was love. Then someone handed Lauren the box. I had it delivered by courier with a signature required, had to ensure she'd open it herself. They say it was Dean who reached in first, smirking when he saw the custom engraving on the drive, L&D. Maybe he even thought it was a honeymoon video. Maybe he thought it was a montage of their greatest hits, carefully edited with sappy piano music. They plugged it into a laptop. The screen lit up. No password. Just a folder called Just So You Know. The first video played automatically. Dean in a hotel elevator, kissing a redhead in a leather skirt. Time-stamped 2 weeks before the engagement. The second clip, him at a bar, whispering into another woman's ear, hand too low on her back. Then, audio recordings, his voice unmistakable, captured in crisp detail by the private investigator I'd hired. "Lauren's loaded," he laughed in one. "She doesn't even make me try. I just nod at the right times." Then came the group chat screenshots. Dean typing, "Once the rings are on, I'm going full throttle. I'll be driving her car and draining her account by Christmas." Laugh emojis. Comments like, "You're a savage, bro." Silence. The kind that crashes down like a wave of cement. Her father, a retired federal judge, stood and left without a word. Her mother followed, face pale. Dean stammered something about old files and a prank, but the footage had dates, times, locations, facts. Lauren said nothing. Then she collapsed. The wedding was over before morning. By noon, Dean had disappeared, deleted everything, left no forwarding number. Lauren called me 4 times. Voicemails, no apologies, just silence on my end. Because when the truth detonates, you don't sweep up the ashes. You just walk away from the fire. 3 years. It sounds like a long time. Until you live through it. Then it feels like fog pulling back from a frozen lake, slow and quiet and deliberate. I don't mark the days anymore. I stopped counting anniversaries, birthdays, even the date the divorce was finalized. Time doesn't heal everything, but it dulls the jagged edges until they're safe to touch. I live alone now. The cabin sits 10 miles west of Sandusky, tucked behind a wall of pine and oak. I built the porch myself, hammered every nail, laid every board with the kind of focus only a man with nothing left to lose can bring to a task. I rise with the sun, brew my coffee in a tin percolator, and cast my line into a lake that doesn't care who I used to be. Some days I speak aloud, mostly to myself or to no one at all, just enough to remind my voice it still exists. I carve furniture from reclaimed wood, oak, maple, cherry if I can get it. Clean lines, no flourishes, function over show, like I always was. I haven't seen Lauren since the night before the wedding that never happened. Didn't expect to, didn't want to. People talk. Word travels, even when you don't ask for it. They say she moved in with her sister after the scandal, went quiet, started therapy. Maybe she's healing. Maybe not. That path isn't mine to follow. Dean's name surfaced once. Someone mentioned Arizona. A realtor's Instagram showed him posing beside a house with a woman who looked like a younger version of Lauren. Patterns never really change. They just swap faces. People sometimes ask, in lowered voices, if I'm still angry. They expect bitterness, fury, a wound that never closed. But the truth is simpler, colder. Anger is a reaction. I don't react anymore. I plan. I execute. I let things unfold. What I gave them wasn't revenge. It wasn't violence or chaos. It was truth, timed, targeted, and devastating. The kind of truth that doesn't scream. It whispers, and when it hits, it leaves nothing standing. Now, I have peace. Not joy, not love, but peace. The kind that comes after a storm flattens the land, and you're the only one left standing.